Political parties that are part of the Government of National Unity are expected to be locked in a cabinet lekgotla this weekend. The parties will, for the first time, draft policies that will lead the country for the next 5 years. Joining us to unpack what to expect is Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, who is a political analyst. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Thanks very much for your time. I was speaking to one of the political players, one of the people who are going to be in that meeting this coming weekend, who was quite optimistic, first about the very fact, he says, that Cabinet has reached out to all political parties and is aware that some work has gotten into it, where the directors general, across the government have looked at the various manifestos that political parties had as they were going into the election, and as far as he's aware, they're trying to extrapolate from those manifestos the sorts of things that they think will, or parties have more in common than what separates or divides them.
So, Putvuyo, this is the first meeting of coalition partners in government, not out of government. Now, the role of lekgotla is to articulate the priorities of government. It is also to set out a policy agenda or a strategic plan. And also it begs the question for me as to where does policy come from? Does policy come from political parties, or does it come from government? Because each and every political party makes its own policies. But then when you come to government, it's a different kettle of fish, because your policies must be aligned to the fiscus of a government. Now, the worst part of it is that you are talking about different political parties coming together within the context of a coalition, if you like. Now the question is which policies will take preeminence and which ones will fall away. So it's going to be very interesting, because there have been different understandings and interpretations of the statement of intent. And my reading of the situation is that also there has been a lot of competition amongst the ministers and so on. So this arrangement is quite interesting.
Well, from what someone else, told me, if the focus is on the issues that everyone cares about, and we're talking here about the economy, we're talking about crime, unemployment, there won't be a lot, to separate the political parties there. The question is going to be how?
Yes, in politics, in my opinion, you have what I call politics of idealism and politics of realism. So in theory, you can say that these coalition partners are pursuing national interest, blah, blah, blah. But in practice, politics is a game of power. Politics is a game whereby you want to outmaneuver those that you are in competition with. So the bigger picture, I think, amongst all those political players is to basically, ascend to power without partnering with anyone. So that's why there's this competition, so that at some point, maybe one political party can be in power without being in partnership. But I hope that there will be maturity. They will see this as a win-win situation, not as a zero-sum game. And there won't be any political party that will try to impose its hegemony. Because the worst thing that you would want to see is to have different press conferences whereby mixed messages are communicated. I don't think that will sit well with the markets.
Well, it didn't sit well with the first Government of National Unity back after 1994, because what often happened was that people's positions would be defeated inside cabinet. And cabinet ministers from your national party and your IFP will then go out to criticize or take an oppositional stance outside of the cabinet room.
Yes, that government fell apart in 1996. You remember the National Party walked away because they were very much frustrated, even though they held strategic positions, because the Ministry of Finance was led by Chris Liebenberg, and the governor of Reserve Bank was from the National Party. But then the ANC was in majority. But that was a different ball game, because in 1994, the ANC won the elections by 62%. But now you have a situation whereby one-party dominance is a thing of the past, and the hegemony of the ANC has been dealt with a blow in a big way. So we don't have a ruling party. But now the challenge is that these political parties, at the same time, some of them, they also want to play a role of oversight while they are in government. So there might be issues of trust. Yeah, it's a, I don't want to say it's a concoction of a quagmire, but it's a very interesting arrangement, seriously.
How do you think it's going to pan out if you were to make some informed projections on the back, of course, of everything you've just said, and of course that history post 1994, where the ANC and the New National Party and the IFP went into a government of national unity?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. Suffice to say, I hope that they pursue. I mean, they pursue national interest, and compromise if needs be, because there's no political party that has won the elections outrightly. So no political party should try to impose only its own program. I think they should try to synthesize, different manifestos, so that they can speak the same language and speak with one voice. The key thing, as you indicated when you were setting the scene, Budvuyo, is that we have these, just paraphrasing what you said, we have these security threats, namely unemployment, inequality, poverty, and the economy has not been growing the way it should have. So I don't think that people are interested in political competition and so on. The most important thing is to put the country on the map and promote development for the majority.
Well, let's hope they will indeed, Prof, put the country first, and less so some of the things that you mentioned, which is competition among themselves, trying to grab power and outmaneuvering one another. Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, political analyst, of course, based at the Nelson Mandela University.